welcome to another double cast of Supreme Commander Forge Alliance. This time we're on Badlands, and we have Durus versus Deathly. And we
Just had a flare and a mech marine run past each other in
we
the
just
middle.
had some confusion here, so we ended up starting around a minute 30. So both players had a light assault pod go through the middle. I think Deathly is ready to deal with it, and Deathly's light assault pod isn't going to do anything, at least not for now. So Durus, a player that I remember from GPGNet, he was very good there. He hasn't played in a while, but recently he's been making a sort of comeback.
He was one of the top players. He was top 10.
There goes the flare, the mech marine from Durus, and Deathly's flare just continues to run. It actually could have picked off an engineer, but now it's going to run straight to where Durus's ACU is.
I think if it would have snuck in, but maybe he'll find out where the ACU is, but Duras gets the kill.
Not too much intel gained for Deathly, but the Durus's mech marine didn't do anything either, so not really any damage done. And
Both players going third air.
I'm gonna kick this up to +1 because it's kind of a long game. I'm at +1 now. So anyway, yeah, third air from Deathly. He seems to be a fan of that in his recent games. Actually, simultaneous second factories from Durus. He's making a land factor and an air factor at the same time.
Definitely much quicker on his factories.
Not really much quicker. It's a few seconds earlier. Interceptor for both players, actually. I don't know if it's a good idea to go with a bomber against UEF because they won't be going bombers themselves. So it's almost a guarantee that UEF will be building interceptors. So that's why Deathly won't be going aggressively like he did in the Palms game. So just interceptors from him.
As Aeon, if he can deny the bombers against you, because bombing strikers doesn't really do much for you. You need at least 2 bombs.
Yeah. Well, in the early game, UEF will never be going for bombers unless they're crazy and they can somehow micro a UEF bomber.
Actually, today when we were casting with Alex and Zlo, we saw Voodoo.
Yeah, Voodoo is one of the players who does that, but it has very little success from what I've seen in his games.
Did everything right, it's just the bombers were missing.
So it looks like very even numbers early on in air, but Durus manages to get behind Deathly's 1 interceptor. So now it's 2v1.
Interesting attack moves.
It's 2v1 and interceptors now. And that should be an easy win for Durus. Yeah, no problems there.
Definitely, surprisingly not very good here with his air.
Yeah, he's one of the players who usually wins air, but now he's making another bomber after going bomber himself first. So Durus with 3 interceptors. That could be big trouble for Deathly. 3 interceptors will...
Deathly is going to completely lose air here, and as Aeon, that's going to be very difficult if Durus can take advantage.
He's actually already mixing flak into his army. He's realized he's going to lose air. There's no sense in canceling the bomber, though. So now interceptor from Deathly. First bomber.
Bar spam, 3 engineers and land spam for Deathly.
Deathly actually does get a kill with that bomber. Durus letting that go. And actually 2 engineers vulnerable here.
Oh, is he going to get more?
No.
Oh,
it's like Deathly doesn't need air control to try to use bombers, though. Another bomber coming in. He knows where the engineers are, so he'll know where to micro. And
Band of Auroras on the right side from Deathly, denying the expansion to the 4th expansion.
And here comes the bomber. And no bombs dropped. So that's a complete loss of air for Deathly. He's not very happy about it.
That's one thing you can do. If you can piss Deathly off, he starts doing really stupid things.
Yeah, he'll get mad and he'll start building walls randomly and just sending his ACU to its death.
Take a lot of adjacency from Deathly on his land factories.
Yeah, he's definitely squeezing that mass bonus. And yeah, it's a very centralized base. He's building everything right around his initial factories. So it's very different from Durus.
This map, since it's kind of asymmetric like that, you have the 1 expansion to the right if you're Deathly and 2 to the left. Those 2 expansions to the left are very vulnerable. That's usually where you get a lot of attacks.
Yeah, and that's the obvious place to send your ACU. You can see the gigantic air wing from Durus coming in. And here UEF bombers could be used against the structures like the power, and we can see bombers coming out from Durus.
This is gonna get some flack from Deathly.
So
40 mass though from Duras.
So what I'm curious to see is how Duras plans to deal with Aeon. Because for Aeon it's very simple on this map. There's so much open space and it's so spread out, you just have to build auroras everywhere. But for UEF, it's very difficult to deal with auroras in all those different locations, so I just want to see what Duras has in mind for that. Right now he's just letting Deathly raid him at will.
Not good from Duras. I think as UEF, you just basically need to get Tech 2 air or Tech 2 land.
What you can see Deathly doing here is there's these little craters on the side where there's huge amounts of reclaim, and he's sending factory attack moves to both of them, so he's going to gobble up all that mass, and Duras isn't...
Actually huge. I had him game against Mad Mozart where I felt like I was completely dominating, but suddenly he just kept on making more and more stuff, and he was getting a lot of the mass from this reclaims. You do not want to neglect chunks.
Especially those big chunks in the middle. I mean, there's several thousand mass in each of these little pockets, and there's also...
Actually, those craters, those are really good to drop into because this natural protection. You can put some mobile missile launchers, engineers, or artillery, or Tech 3 artillery.
There's also these smaller pockets next to the cliff things where there's mexes. Also some rocks to be had there. Don't neglect those either. And Duras is denying Deathly's expansion or reclamation in one of the craters, while Deathly raids directly in Duras's base. He's gotten behind. He's gonna kill a Hydro. That's actually pretty devastating from Deathly.
The Hydra. Tech 2 Mass Extractor here also vulnerable. Hydra much less
actually
health though.
Deathly letting the Hydro go on 240 health. He could have finished that off easily. He's still got one Aurora in a position to finish it off, but he's targeting something else.
There's a secondary group coming in.
And that's a much bigger group, and Duras is going to lose a significant part of his base here. Deathly with a much firmer control of his side of the map than Duras has. Power...
You can see in the back of Duras' base, there's all these mass extractors that are dead. That's all those Auroras.
Power almost dead even, but you can see the huge mass advantage for Deathly. So we should see that translate into more Auroras. And as a response, Duras is going Tech 2 land. I assume we're going to see Mongeese come out of this, because it's the only logical answer to Auroras at this point. He's behind anyway.
Definitely about 2,000 ahead in terms of reclaim.
And that's those craters, especially the one on the right. He's completely cleaned it out.
Anticipate him doing the same thing on the left.
Looks like Duras managed to sneak some units in as well, but they won't be nearly as effective as Deathly's, where it only takes out one mechs, and he will lose those tanks.
Bombers for Duras trying to play defense, taking a long time.
I don't know why Deathly isn't finishing off the one Hydra that's on 240 health. It's just such an easy target. Looks like he might be moving there now.
Duras moving over with his ACU, kind of leaving the side expansion exposed. There isn't artillery there.
See, yeah, Deathly is playing this Tech 1 stage perfectly. He's lured the ACU away, and now he can strike at this right-hand expansion if he wants. And
love to see somebody take the sides here. Nobody's
still not taking out the Hydra. It's very close. The Hydra survives on 34 health. Wow. And actually pillars from Duras, not Mongeese. Interesting. Once pillars get close to Auroras, of course, they demolish them, but it is a matter of getting close to them first.
Pillars, you get a lot of health for the amount of mass you invest.
Looks like walls from Deathly on the right-hand side. And he is going for the ledge cliff thing. I don't know.
Actually going to build on it. I didn't know that you could build on it.
I've tried to do that, but apparently Deathly has that figured out. There must be a specific spot.
Very good to know.
So, assumably he will do the same on the other side. He's not doing it yet.
So many bombers. I think spread attack here would be ideal against this force
the
from
Auroras in
Deathly.
the front are kind of bunched up. That would have been an ideal moment to strike. And still will do some nice damage to them, but I think that we're all targeting the same Aurora. But once the Auroras get into lines like this, UEF bombers are actually not too bad with the way they drop their bombs. Still would rather have a Seraphim bomber, but UEF bombers will get the job done in that situation.
Deathly is going to come in and clean up the air.
And Deathly is not...
Now follow up with a Tech 2.
Deathly doesn't care about destroying Duras' right expansion. He's just going to go around it and take out the mexes in the back once again. And now...
Well, this kind of rating, since there are so many mass extractors, it looks good, but it's not that effective because you can just tech and...
Yeah, there's no...
Eventually,
Yeah, and
just
there's
get
no
that
need to
reclaim.
tech the mexes on the outside. They're just kind of bonus mexes, so as the game goes on, they lose their value, and it becomes less of a priority to raid them.
TMD going up for Duris.
Yeah, again, paranoid, but as we saw with Zlo, it's probably a good idea to get early TMD against Deathly. And, yeah,
Tech to
yeah,
air
tech to
from
air,
Deathly.
and he's actually putting a lot of build capacity on it. So,
ACU for Deathly going on the left side. He's going to get TMD, a shield. Have two centers, one around his air factory, one around his ACU.
a gigantic power stall for Deathly. Should really pause his tech to air while he sorts that out, but he's not doing that. And going tech to land at the same time, so he's just completely ruining his eco right now.
He also got a shield that he just built. He needs to pause that.
Now he's trying to force out tech 2 power in two different locations, so Deathly, I don't really know what he's doing right now. Apparently he doesn't care about his eco anymore.
Yeah, he might feel that he's way ahead, although he's
He's
not.
not that far ahead actually. Duris actually out mass producing him, but that's just because of the power stall for Deathly. The gunships continue to be piled up. I don't really know what Deathly has in mind with these gunships.
Do a lot of damage until Tech 2 flag comes out, and that's one thing in general in this game. Sometimes you might feel that you're doing much better than the other player, and that's usually what happens when you do a lot of raiding. You win small battles, but not every single victory in battle really means much in the grand scheme.
Yeah, you can feel really good about taking out hordes of Tech 1 mexes, and you might feel like you're completely destroying your opponent's eco, but you might actually be doing just the opposite. You could be feeding them mass. So it's really a lot more complicated than
I think
it seems.
that's a big difference between recognize how to maximize the damage and how to realize what the damage is.
Yeah, I just remember once when Exivo told me that it's useless to attack Tech 1 mexes with gunships because they don't overkill, so it's... Or, no, Tech 2 mexes because they don't overkill, so the opponent will just get their mass back plus the mass of the gunship, and that was just like an epiphany for me. It's really a lot more than just attacking everything you can attack. Although here, Deathly is probably going to lose this gunship to a single Tech 1 mobile flag, which is kind of bad. Looks like still just a gunship spam and a huge obsidian spam from Deathly. So that's his plan.
And one thing Deathly does very well is to pause Tech 1 factories. He only
He only
factories is
produces what he needs. And actually, it's not as much teching from Deathly as I expected. He's usually the type of player who techs everything. But actually, a significant number of T1 mechs is still around for Deathly. Even within his main base. And now he's
See,
look
now,
at this.
oh, the air factor, those
Yeah.
intercept. He just threw away his air force. Take to flag also.
That is not
moving in.
good. So, I mean, he can fix that if he makes some swift wins. Now he's just making interceptors out of his Tech 2 air factor. He realizes he needs air back.
Got a bit of a traffic jam next to his Tech 2 land factory. He needs to move those
And he
engineers
needs
around.
to pack them on one side.
Pillars moving in, and they're actually doing quite a good job. Deathly forced to move
Deathly-
sideways. That opens up the other.
Deathly is really being quite sloppy here with pretty much everything. It's not the type of play we usually get.
Gunships trying to do a little raid.
Yeah, that really is a mass donation to Duris, though.
That's exactly what you
Yeah.
were just talking about. Using these gunships, he used 600 mass to kill 2 Tech 1 mass extractors. That does not
Yeah,
make
it really
sense.
doesn't. And those are easily going to be taken back by Duris, and the mass from the gunships will be kept as well. So it's really just a donation. Although Deathly with both ledges, so from these positions he can make TMLs, he can make drops there. It's
And I think that's perfect place for a T2
I
already.
I was literally about to say that. It's weird. We mind read each other all the time. But anyway, it's
It's to happen more often in
really
games.
very even right now. And both players just waiting and teching and seeing what the other player is going to do first.
Of Eco versus Tech 3 land or Tech 3 air, who's gonna do the next thing?
We'll see if Duris makes the leap to Tech 3 land. It would be ideal for him if he could outproduce Deathly at the Tech 3 stage because of the Percivals, of course. That's easier said than done.
This is where you have to have the pretty big advantage. He can. I think if you're Aeon and you go on Tech 3 land, you want to do that early. You want to have numbers. As UEF, you know you can recover. You can let the Perseus maybe take something, but you'll be able to recover with your
Yeah,
Perseus.
exactly. You can lose map control and then very quickly gain it back with Perseus. Because you can be taking on Harbies, even when you only have half the number of Perseus. And
Definitely going on an attack here. I don't think that's a very good idea.
a huge line of T2 PDs. Well, actually not huge, just 3 of them, but that's easily enough to decimate these Auroras. And on both sides, I think Duras has numbers. The right is pretty even, but as long as Deathless stands there, the Artie can rip him apart.
Tech 1 bombers for Dur is doing some damage on the left ledge.
Just taking out T1 mexes. It's really no loss at all for Deathly. This is a very good example of inflation that I think we should talk about, because what you were saying in your video is that early on in a game, a Tech 1 mex is very, very valuable when your mass income is 10. I mean, that's 20% of your total income. But then at this stage of the game, a Tech 1 mex is literally nothing, and you can afford to lose them with no problem at all.
You have plus 94 mass and you lose 2 mass. Nothing has happened to you.
So it looks like Deathly planning to make a T2 radar in the middle. He's surrounding a T1 with a bunch of power gens. That would be a very, very good spot for a Tech 2 radar, except that it would be so vulnerable. So we'll see what he does with that. And it looks like Duras is just letting Deathly have the Reclaim in the left crater. So checking Reclaim now.
I don't know if he realizes how
Deathly
good that
now
is.
on 14, well, almost 15k, and Duras is just on 6.5k Reclaim. So that's a gigantic difference there. It's probably accounting for the increased eco from Deathly.
2 Tech 3 mass extractors.
Yeah,
Deathly here with Aeon would be nice to do resource allocation given his power production right now.
you can get that, recycle every Tech 1 P-Gen, get even more eco. It just goes uphill from there.
Aeon going Tech 3 air ahead of Tech 3 land on a map like this is a good idea. The strats can provide some protection against Perseus, and they can also allow you to win the game if you want to.
Yeah, if you can snipe someone with Tech 3 bombers, that's ideal. And Duras...
Bit of a drop now from Duras on the left side.
Yeah, an artillery drop. If those don't move, they're going to get massacred. That's really kind of disappointing from Duras.
The Obsidian's moving in on the right side.
Plenty of mongoose there. Yeah, this is...
They're standing still.
The mongoose should be in the back right now. They shouldn't be in the front. The Tech 1 has to be chasing Deathly away while the mongoose pursue. That's the way it should be done, but...
I think if the Obsidians kill that Tech 2 flag, the gunships can come in and support for Deathly.
Actually, there's plenty of Tech 2 flag in this force for Duras, so would not be easy for Deathly to do that.
Tech 3 land has been started by Duras here, minute 19.
I think he definitely needs to do that, and he definitely has the eco.
Big Tech 2 force.
He has
through
the eco
middle.
to make Percivals instantly. So after a few T3 NGs, he should definitely switch to Percival production.
Big Obsidian spam from 4 factories for Deathly.
Going on a different route, just making more T2. And putting an insane amount of build capacity on his Tech 2 air factory. He's obsessed with getting those gunships out, and he's got a whole bunch of them. I don't understand why or what his plan with those is.
Very quickly. I think it'll be very sad. Yeah, he's got like 3,000 invested in those at this point, maybe even more, 4,000. They will die so quickly.
And he doesn't even... Well, he might have air control, but just a few Tech 2 flags will destroy everything.
Of Tech 1 bombers.
And...
Might start a big air fight. Let's see if Duras gets this one. It's actually a good place to engage. A lot of Tech 2 flak in that region.
Actually, Duras slightly out of position here. The interceptors can kill all those bombers with no real problems. And it looks like Duras...
Yeah, he needs to engage and draw in those interceptors over the flak.
And some of the interceptors do get over there. The gunships are coming in. Duras has seen all the gunships. He knows that they're there. And he has seen that they are gunships.
Not sure what those gunships can do. I mean, they have to go at Duras' main base.
And once they go there, they're just going to get overwhelmed by interceptors as soon as they get close.
He might be going after the ACU here.
And flag getting in the way. So there's also
There's that
the
flak.
natural protection of the mountain here. So while the gunships are trying to get over the mountain, the flak can decimate them. It's exactly what we just saw there. Interceptors coming in from Duras, and this is just an absolute waste and an absolute massacre.
This is a disaster.
I mean, at the very least, definitely might have
gift.
been able to kill some power, but absolutely no luck there.
Killing this mass does not make sense. I mean, you got to remember that that mass also leaves a wreck, so you can rebuild at half
Yeah,
price
you
right
can.
on top of it. But all those chunks of mass that just sitting there, they're about 100 mass. Actually, no, they're about 180 mass.
Yeah, and he just donated 30 of them or so. So it definitely had a slight eco advantage, but I expect that to disappear soon with this huge gift of reclaim.
As we're seeing Tech 3 land with a whole bunch of Tech 3 artillery and Tech
This
3
is
engineers.
actually
they're
the
gonna
worst possible time for Deathly to have donated so much mass, because this is exactly when Duras wanted some extra mass as he's making Tech 3 land, and
got so much build capacity on that Tech 3
and
factory.
Deathly has not even gotten to Tech 3, so if Duras were to take that mass and turn it all into Percy's,
A lot of build capacity being shifted to Tech 3 land from the Air 4.
Deathly realizes that he's in trouble. He needs to get Tech 3 land as soon as he can. And Eco,
Quite sure he thought that he was dominating and he could just troll Duras and move in with some shitty gunships, but now he's I think
yeah,
he
now
is
there's
behind.
just mass everywhere. There's mass in the back. There's mass in Duras's base, and he didn't really lose anything. I mean, if you're gonna donate mass to your opponent, you have to damage something, which is something that I struggle with a lot in games. So I can't really criticize him on that. So we're also seeing
The
Tech 3
gunships
mexes from Duras. So that's basically what he did with that mass.
should rename it Deathly's gift.
Yeah, Deathly's good.
Uh,
That is exactly what it was, though. See a whole bunch of swift wins from Deathly. Although I think with the current numbers, Duras has 74 interceptors. So unless Deathly can get some flak, he will not win air, even with swift wins. And,
there was so many bombers. I like how Duras is using his Tech 1 bombers. They killed a lot of Obsidians. And in the back here, I think the Titans versus Obsidians. This is where Obsidians actually showing how powerful they are.
but I think this will be yet another gift from Deathly. Because
A lot of commotion. in
Because
Duras'
again, there's
base.
just nothing here to kill. Even if this force had success, it wouldn't be able to kill much of importance. So this is another gift.
Tech 3 power started for Duras.
Yeah, once he gets that, he'll catch up in power, and he's ahead in mass. So Duras will have the better eco at that point.
Deathly with the Harveys, but of course those will be outgunned against the Percy.
Well, Duras isn't actually making Percy. He's been completely Titans. Actually, something I would like to see, since Duras has air control, is just take some Titans and drop them in all the expansions. Take 5 or 6 Titans, and just drop them here, in all the expansions. Just destroy everything, and drop them by the power. That is a bit difficult to pull off.
I think things are not looking good for Deathly, although he is still ahead in mass somehow.
I don't understand that, but it is reality. Duras is back to 92 mass. I don't know how that happened either. Maybe his reclaim ran out.
Yeah, he's stalling, but he does have 24,000 reclaimed.
24,000 for him, about 18,000 for Deathly. So we're seeing that gap narrow a little bit. And Deathly, with a very advanced wall here, pretty audacious. It's not going to get finished, though, because the Titans will take care of that. But
Audacity of hope right there is like Obama.
that's exactly what it was.
This Obsidian force, you cannot never underestimate the Obsidians on the right side.
On the right side.
Once again, a huge wing of bombers.
I think it's Duras' turn to troll a little bit. He's got way too many bombers there, and it's actually paying off.
I think those could wipe out all the engineering if he went straight through the middle.
Yeah, he could, and if he brought his interceptors with him, then he could easily win air control, as Deathly would have to target his bombers. So
There isn't too much flak there.
that could be a decent air attack, but we'll see if he.
Big Titans win it on the left.
And suddenly there's a gigantic gap in Deathly's possible defense here. He's got some Harbies moving in, but there's just a vastly superior force for Duras moving down. And again, a huge amount of reclaim has been secured. Some gunships moving in.
Oh, bombers. Oh my god. So ridiculous. They still suck. I don't think they
Yeah, they haven't killed a single unit yet.
Oh, jeez.
And,
But on the other side, yeah, the Titans versus Harbies. This will
and the
be good.
bombers are now targeting the Harbies, managed to get them to about half health, and again, don't kill anything. Just free veterancy for Deathly's Swift Wind. Deathly wants to provoke an air fight here, it seems. And that's some...
I think he's going to get it. I don't think he
Duras
wants
will win
it.
that easily. There's just no question here. Too many interceptors.
Back to flag there as well. I think the Titans on the left side are going to retreat. They're going to be very cautious.
So now we're looking at the third major mass donation from Deathly. Now there's just a huge amount of airplanes here. Although
Harbies doing a little
Deathly
reclamation.
here can push, and with this many obsidians, he could probably kill Duras if Duras didn't move.
Yes, I think
He should be moving in right now. He should at least be scaring Duras. And if he did that, he would probably force Duras to move his units back, and then that would give him some breathing room to prepare some defenses.
Only the 2 tech 1 point defenses, but against this such strong health, it's not going to do much. Crazy. And there's Percy's, but those are very low fire rates. I don't think they would be able to.
And if all those obsidians got close to the Percy, they would just destroy it in a matter of seconds.
It's true. Harby's doing a little harassment on the left side, but artillery in the middle, 8 kills for Duras. Pushing up.
Duras is definitely picking up the better positions on the map. Definitely cannot push through the left at all. But he is redirecting a significant number of Harbies there, and he's got 4 Tech 3 factories now. So he's able to produce Harbies very quickly.
Very disappointing force on the right side. We had so many dreams for it, but I think it's
Yeah,
just
it
going
had
to
that,
retreat.
I don't know, 2-minute window where he could have actually put an end to the game with some luck, but now that's gone. And Duras going Tech 3 air now. When he's got a huge power deficit, he's got less than half of Deathly's power. He's going Tech 3 air.
Very surprising. Oh, there's so many Tech 1 air factories from Deathly. I think he's going to go massive air here soon.
And does Deathly have resource allocation? That's the question. Yeah.
Obsidians dominating against Percy's.
Yeah, the Percy has no chance against such numbers. Yeah, that Percy is now done. And actually, I mean, Duras doesn't have complete access to this reclamation field yet, so Deathly could make a play for it with a T2 transport. He could put some engineers there.
Harby's is getting a couple dead. That another Percy coming in. You don't want to lose that
Yeah, that's a
Harby.
very valuable Harby there.
And
It will be lost now. And those Obsidians need to run.
Tech 1 bombers. On the other side, Harby's pushing away against the Titans.
Looks like Deathly is able to. Deathly will be able to regain some positioning here. These Obsidians on the right definitely need to run. And once they do run, they're going to leave Duras with an absurd reclamation field once again. This is even bigger than the one from before. Now ASF's being produced by Duras. I don't know if... Yeah, Deathly is going Tech 3 air as well. And with so much more power, it's hard to imagine him losing air at the T3 stage.
I think Duras really should have stuck with the mass Percy spam. He would win all in. I don't think that air.
Yeah, it's actually questionable as to what he's doing with that air, because if he knows that Deathly is going Tech 3 air, then it kind of makes sense. But if he didn't know, then he should just be making strap bombers. I don't know why he's making ASFs.
Harby's doing a very good job, although there's some now Tech 3 point defenses from Duras, and that's not something you want to run your Harbies
So actually,
into.
this will be a very solid defensive position for Duras. But what I'm curious to see is that he hasn't actually even seen the Tech 3 air factory. He doesn't even know that there's a factory there. So I don't know why he was making ASFs to begin with, but he already had that in mind. Very strange stuff there. And
Tech 2 power from Deathly, that's very
the
strange.
Harbies are just running into their deaths here. T2 and T3 point defenses here, and Titans in pursuit.
I don't think Deathly anticipated Tech 3 point defense. He must have thought those were like mongoose shots or something.
This is just this whole game has been Deathly feeding Duras mass, and unless he's careful, it's gonna come back to haunt him later.
Yeah, it's amazing that Deathly's actually still ahead.
I,
I mean, Deathly has hung on to a bigger part of the map. He's had way
I
more
think right
extraction.
now Duris is doing a very poor job of picking up what he has. On the right, he's not reclaiming at all, and on the left, he could have been reclaiming for a long time, and he hasn't been doing that. So that's a bit disappointing.
On land, though, there's going to be a lot of Tech 3-point defenses, and that will deny any kind of land push unless Deathly goes with a GC. Chance to win this with Harbies or Obsidians anymore.
Yeah, that's not going to happen anymore because obviously UEF are the kings of defense at the T3 level. There's Percy's, Mobile Shields, Ravagers. It's just impossible to break them at that point unless you have mass experimentals.
Actually, one thing we haven't seen too much of is cruise missiles from either player. It's nice at this point to just have one launcher with a whole bunch of missiles standing by in case you go on an assault and break through some defense. You can really maximize those, especially on sides for Deathly.
And since Duras is so prone to making Tech 1 bombers, he can easily snipe TMDs with some Tech 1 bombers. They don't have that much health. And even UEF bombers can hit structures, usually. So now we're just at the part in the game where everyone's just making T3 mexes. Not really too much action, just some pushes that are being deflected.
When you have, when you're way ahead in mass, as Deathly is, that gap becomes bigger and bigger. So if you're ahead, it's like a winning strategy, like in chess. If you're ahead by a piece,
yeah, there's no
trading pieces more and more, and that's
there's just no reason
happens.
to rush yourself anymore because you know that if things continue the way they are, you're gonna win. Duras finally going on to reclaim the stuff that he can, just a little bit. But he really needs to reclaim a lot more.
I think this is the stage. Duras would have went instead of air. He went Percy spam. I think this is when he would win the land battle. And
yeah, without that Tech 3
counterattack.
air and the power that he had to build to get it, he would have been winning by now easily if he had been putting all that build capacity.
Now Harby advantage is actually winning against Percy's quite easily.
Yeah,
on the
suddenly
right side.
we're once again staring at a position where, with some luck, Deathly could come in and kill Duras, but it's a little bit more difficult now with Ravagers on the field.
But I think you can still do it.
Yeah, if you went now. And he actually is going now. And decides to retreat.
Percy's and overcharges.
Yeah, it's probably a bad idea now.
It would have been very close. Oh, and the president's calling you.
Yeah.
You got a strand
someone else will
bomber.
get it. So
Tech 3 air can do something.
so
The strat.
it's gonna be a bunch of perf. Harby's dead right there.
Yeah, Tech 3 air with strat bombers is very powerful.
So maybe this is what Duras had in mind all along. Maybe he just wanted a counter to mass Harbies. But now we're going to see a T3 air fight where Deathly has many more.
Similar numbers, a lot more Tech 1.
Yeah, it looks like Deathly will be able to get Tech 3 air. Unless something goes horribly wrong. We can't tell what's happening since it's off map. Both these players are cheaters. Actually,
That's one thing I love. Even though I suck at ASF against the top Sentence players, in ranked games, if I get an air fight, it's really nice to dominate with micro.
yeah, that's exactly what I do. On Suttons, I lose most of my air fights against good players, but in ranked, even a little bit of micro can easily win battles. And here comes an entire massive air wing from Duras, and that could finish off Deathly's air, despite the ASFs.
There's also some ASFs from Duras still alive, so those Percy's Harbies are put against the wall here. Yeah, they're gonna die.
And
It's gonna be a lot of good reclamation. Although it's gonna be under fire from Deathly's missile launchers.
the whole time this has been happening, it's just a complete standoff here. There's Harbies from Deathly and Ravagers from Duras, so it's just impossible for anybody to make any kind of push. And somehow Deathly is nearing 400 mass. And Duras still under 3.
Straight ecoing. I want to see how many Tech 3 mask extractors he's got. 7 Tech 3 mask extractors.
Just ridiculous ecoing from Deathly here. And I think Duras is in full eco. He's in
6
full
actually.
survival mode right now. He's just making defense everywhere. And I don't understand. I mean, Duras could easily get back into this eco race, and he could get the same number of mechs if he would just reclaim all the stuff he has available. Fat Boy plan for Duras after a T3 P-Gen.
Fatty's gonna clean up the sides very easily.
And he could get that Fatty in a matter of seconds if he were to reclaim all this stuff, which I keep reiterating, but it's very annoying.
This is kind of like Zlo today being very annoyed by people not using adjacency and upgrading the wrong tech to mask extractors. Same thing with like us not liking people when they don't reclaim.
Well, yeah,
Reclamation is the biggest.
it's what when I'm playing, a lot of the time I'll stay in games that I shouldn't just from reclaiming every single little chunk I can. So it just frustrates me when people don't get the big chunks that they can easily pick up.
Strat bomber. Oh, this is gonna be a nice strat bomb
Actually,
on the right
it's gonna
side.
take out a whole bunch of missile launchers there. Actually, wrong target, but it can come back for more easily. So Deathly,
That will allow a little more reclamation.
if it would take out those missile launchers, then Duras could pick up all the reclaim on the bottom. He just has to target the right
Some
units.
scouting
Here
from
comes Deathly. We'll take out the Strat Bomber, no problem. So yeah, this is just turning into complete straight up eco war. We'll see how quickly Duras can get this fat boy up. Let's check his eco. So he's actually got quite a decent power balance. Well, not anymore. If you were to pause some engines, he would have a perfect power balance. His problem now is just getting mass.
That 64,000 reclaim. Deathly's only at 24,000, so that's all the 20,000 extra.
Yeah.
GC halfway done for Deathly.
GC versus Fatboy. When the Fatboy will stay behind its Ravager lines, it'll definitely win. But if it goes after Deathly, then the GC will win hands down because it can just charge up.
I think that's where the Fatty plus the Percy's ahead.
So yeah, Deathly is just teching up every single max attack through. That's where his eco is coming from, obviously. He just hasn't been bothering with anything else.
I think nukes might come in here shortly if nothing crazy happens with experimentals. One thing about Deathly is he is very spread out. He's got his main base and he's got his ACU in different positions.
Actually, for Deathly, it would seem like nukes would be the next logical progression with his very good eco. And actually, Duras passing him in power now, which is interesting how that was able to occur.
70 mass. It's just such mass. So much mass from Deathly.
And the Fat Boy going up very quickly for Duras, so he had no problems getting that up. GC for...
C is nearly done.
I expect the Fat Boy to be done by the time the GC can make any progress, though.
The fact that there's still Tech 1 power inside both these players' bases is also...
Yeah. I mean, that's just pre-reclaim. That's reclaim sitting there that hasn't been made into reclaim yet.
There's a lot of Tech 1 air factories. I'd love to see those get changed to Tech 2 for Deathly.
Or just reclaimed. I mean, I don't think interceptors have a place in the game anymore. Although in gigantic numbers, they can have an impact on ASF fights.
Great veterancy to Tech 2 flag.
And here comes the GC.
C's
And
out.
both experimentals are on the same side of the map, so we could get some kind of interesting game here. And the shots are fired by the Fat Boy. That'll alert Deathly that it's there. He definitely knows about it now. So Deathly will shift all his Tech 3 to one side.
A lot of shields. Mobile shields on top of the Fat Boy is always good.
So
Defensive position now from Duras. Tech 3-point defenses and multiple shields close to where the
So
Fatty's
Duras
going to be.
actually has no radar coverage even close to where the GC is. He won't know about it until it's almost on top of him, which is not ideal at all. He needs to get some kind of better radar.
The fact that you don't have Tech 3 radar in this position is very bad. Deathly does
And
have Tech
Duras
3
has
radar.
15k power. It's amazing that with that much power he wouldn't have gone for an Omni at least. If not an
That's
Omni,
one thing, one
at
of the
least be
strongest
scouting
things.
often with Tech 3 scouts.
One thing about Deathly's gameplay, he's got some not so good things, but his radar positioning is usually some of the best. He's very good at denying radar and building proper radar in the right places.
So like Duras knows enough to shift his Percy's to the side where the GC is coming, so We might see some enormous battle here with the Fat Boy GC and all these Tech 3 units.
Certainly, hopefully, we do get that. Like Deathly is gonna retreat.
So actually, Durus has a missile launcher that's within range of Deathly's Omni, so he should just shoot that. I don't understand why he hasn't shot it yet. Yeah, he could have taken out the Omni a while ago.
Or defensive position. Anti-nuke for Deathly. 541 mass for Deathly.
Yeah, this eco, absurd. And he still has Tech 1 mexes, which means there's still a long way he can go.
A drop, a Titan drop,
They need-
which
they need-
Titan's getting
they need to
killed by
move.
fervors.
Ah.
Move just in time. Oh, no, he didn't. It's like cruise missiles from Durus taking out Tech 2 mass extractors on the
Just
right side.
eyeballing it, it looks like Durus might have more ASFs. Yeah, it's exactly even.
But he wasn't a. Oh, he had a patrol route that Deathly just. He got a bunch of ASF to come out of it and killed them in superior numbers. That's just noob move.
That was very painful, actually. The numbers were exactly even. It was 48 versus 48, and Durus just completely threw that.
Oh, it looks like you're.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Asked for it. Those are nice missiles from Durus. Still, Durus not reclaiming the right side. They're just looking at the amount of wrecks there.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous.
And even though a lot of them are Tech 1 wrecks, they start to add up after a while if you just start reclaiming all of them.
See Harvey's.
I do not like this positioning of the anti-nuke from Durus. It's a very expensive unit that he's putting in the wrong place. It's not going to protect any of his power. The majority of his power is in his main base, and he's not protecting that against nukes. Though
Looks like Deathly's gonna have two different anti-nukes.
I don't see any nukes from Deathly yet, so maybe that's not even a concern yet. Scouting from Durus, sees everything.
Making more Tech 3 shields.
And really the Tech 1 power here is just inexcusable.
At some point, I think Aeon begins to get an advantage over UEF in the turtle game because GCs are.
Oh yeah,
So their Eye of
in an
Rhiannon is so
experimental
good.
war I would definitely take GCs. If you're trying to...
And actually some snipers in the middle.
Yeah, those could actually be painful. We see a T2 mechs there that could die. Some units that can be picked off. Do the snipers outrange Ravagers? Because if they do...
Just
if
barely,
they do, you can
yes.
start taking those out, and then there's power vulnerable. Second Fat Boy.
Fatty though will.
A second Fat Boy on the way for Durus now, and actually a second T3 Air Factory for Durus as well. And he's got no power for that.
I think early on, both players had engineers that were kind of all over the place. This is where capturing enemy tech becomes so critical. If you could have both techs in an eco war like this, you have such huge advantage.
And really right now it just looks bad for Durus. Definitely with so much more mass and power and more units everywhere. But Durus is not in such a bad position that he can't come up with something, so he's definitely still in it.
He needs to survive an attack, and the Deathly is just doing the right thing, not attacking.
It definitely...
Deathly was to attack and fail. That's when it could have a chance.
So I mean, Durus might try to provoke Deathly into some kind of fight. Because if he just waits, Deathly will eventually win.
We're seeing Strat Bombers from Durus.
If he makes enough Strat Bombers. Actually, with Deathly's ACU in this random position, I don't know, 10 Strat Bombers would have a chance, but that would be a very big investment.
But it's something he's got to go for. It looks like support commanders for Deathly, and a nuke has been finished by Deathly. As the Fatty now for Durus doing some damage on the right side.
And now we see this new trick where players are building their mass fabricators around their mass storages that they already have around the mexes.
I love to bomb those with Tech 1 bombers.
It's really not that much of a bonus that you get for it, but it is an extra mass for those fours, so I guess it is worth it. You're going to have to put them somewhere.
I think late game, I mean, you can do different kinds of farming, but farming with SCUs, if you get SCUs and then you put a marker for engineering, you get that resource allocation, and you get like plus 12 mass and 100 power. SCU, it's very safe
Yeah,
eco.
I prefer the SCUs for late game power production, because they're just a lot harder to kill, and they can move around and they can build things too. It's like they're basically ACUs. Now,
I think making
just
see, this is so many Harbies plus a GC. It's kind of disgusting. I think Deathly
yeah, I
could just
think
move
Deathly
in.
could just push in and kill Durus with raw force here, but he's not doing that.
Also got 100 ASF.
Yeah, that helps too. And Deathly going for strap bombers as well. Where did Durus have his strap bombers? He had them somewhere. He's actually got 5 strap bombers, Durus has. But he stopped producing them. And he actually has enough eco to consistently produce them at a good rate, so he should just be going all out strap bombers and trying to snipe Deathly. There's no reason why he wouldn't be able to snipe Deathly right now.
Deathly getting a lot of Tech 3 anti-air. Anticipating that.
So
There's also multiple anti-nukes from both players.
yeah.
The nuke would be a great target for Deathly with some bombers. This has turned into a
Yeah, it
thermal
did.
game.
It had a very promising opening 20 to 30 minutes, and now it's just boring.
You can try going to +2, see if that works out.
Doing that.
If he gets killed.
Didn't Deathly have 2 GCs? Wasn't he building a second one?
He got 2 GCs plus a bunch of
Oh,
Harbies. There's
yeah,
2
GCs right
fatties.
next to each other. I didn't see them.
Actually, that anti-nuke on the left side does not have a missile loaded, so if Deathly gets his missile first,
Here we go with the
Might be
trolling
close.
has officially started, if it hadn't already. We're going for a Cesar.
yeah, I think a Tsara would be great. I don't know how long it would last, but at least, and actually, it used to be much more expensive. Now the price of a Tsar is only
Yeah, something. Well,
actually 45,000. It gets kind of
Yeah.
expensive.
lots of T2 NGs from Deathly, so he's not interested in T1 anymore, apparently. He's just pumping out strap bombers. And here's the big experimental fight. The fatties are able to kite the GCs from a long range.
GCs need to retreat. There's no reason to take damage to the face like that.
Actually, Durus now with a very significant number of strap bombers, 10 of them. And if he gets just a few more, he can make an attempt to snipe Deathly. And now we see Deathly with a support commander going for a T3 RD installation. He's got 710 mass, so I guess why not?
A lot of strats from Deathly now moving in.
And it looks like Deathly's just not interested in finishing this game off. He's not even targeting these. Yeah.
Gonna use his strats to kill the fatty.
Actually takes out both fatties.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
that was brutal. He flies his ASF.
Very
Flies
well
his
used.
ASFs right over some T3 anti-air. Not the best move.
Oh, and now the GCs are moving in.
That's bad. He's
That was very good looking stuff from
but
Deathly.
all the Ravagers and the Percies, 2 GCs should be able to do it actually. But if the GCs are target fired by the Ravagers, could at least do some damage to them. You see, that's exactly what's happening.
I think if it wasn't for all the Harbies, there could be a chance.
Durus
but
running for his life now, as he has to. Huge air fight right over Deathly's Durus's base.
And I actually think Durus might win this air fight.
Probably will because he has so much anti-air in the area.
Good work from Deathly. He pulls back one of his GCs, the one that has less health. Full health GC just runs in. I think he might go after the air factory here. And actually, the Harbies dying very
a whole
quickly.
bunch of Percies came in to reinforce, and this GC is in trouble here. It will die. All the Percies will target it, and it will die now. Well, I say
What?
now, but he's not actually going to target it. Second,
There's actually not that much damage that was done. I mean, the anti-nuke was killed, the fatties were killed,
GC should be
but
killed.
I think that second GC should have kept going and denied that
Yeah,
whole
the
air
second GC
production.
should have just kept running, but it came back for more. And actually, Duris.
This is gift number 5 or something. This is the
Yeah,
biggest gift of them all. This is
this
huge
isn't
amounts
just
of
a
mass.
gift. This is way more than a gift.
Will Duras be able to use it?
The problem for Duris,
Doesn't have too much build
the
capacity
problem with Duris
left.
is his power, 20k to 47k. So, I mean, in the late game when mass becomes less of a problem, when you have reclaim like this, power really dictates everything. And I know Duris doesn't have too much of it.
Yeah, there's so much power in the back of Deathly's base.
Nah, it's just ridiculous.
I think that Tsar is almost done. The donut's almost done, but I think there's plenty of ASF for Duras, and he's got a lot of Tech 3 anti-air. Could be another gift.
And if that was dropped on his head and it didn't kill him, that would certainly be a very, very welcome gift once again. And now Duras is the one who doesn't really have to rush himself. He knows that Deathly has put a lot into getting those experimentals, so he doesn't really have much else. Here comes the donut. And I'm just curious to see the strap bomber count now. It's only 6. Some of them were lost.
Path that the donut takes here, it should be critical. Might just go around and not go after. As long as he stays away from the Tech 3 anti-air, he should
Problem
be
is,
pretty
if
safe.
Duras noobs out and just targets the Cesar, then that'll be game over. You have to micro against it.
Yeah, definitely. If you get a couple passes on it, you can really get a lot of firepower. It's got such a wide
You have
target.
to stay out of the beam, though. That's the big problem. It's actually being used against T3 mexes. As good a target as anything, I guess. So, yeah, definitely in control right now. But if he loses that donut, I think momentum will definitely switch to Duras. He'll have way more reclaim available. He'll be able to spam power very rapidly and get back in the game with ease, actually.
Definitely's base, though, is pretty much pristine. No fighting here at all.
I don't
So
think
much.
his base has really been attacked since the first few minutes with that raid. It's just all been inside Duras' base. Duras with 82k reclaim, Deathly with about 46k.
A donut 17 kills. Gonna get a couple more. Might deny air production here.
Now, this is kind of difficult for Duras to deal with. It's a bit of an awkward spot.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
no!
oh,
No,
actually
don't
here.
just target the Tsar. But it's not
See the beam
isn't-
doing. The
yeah,
beam isn't
that
on.
that was a fail. The ASFs are starting to die now, but the donut is taken out, and I don't think it's gonna land on the air factory. It
I
did.
think he just did.
To me, it looked like it wouldn't. But yeah, that's what gift number Z.
6. Yeah. Oh, and an attack on Deathly's position with a whole bunch of Percies.
Yeah, if he didn't already know the ACU is there, he's gonna know now.
And something happened here.
What happened?
Yeah, there's a lot of Harbies. Harbies will defend.
Yeah, there were Harbies there.
Also support commanders.
I had just the ability to spam up insane amounts of Tech 2 PD. So failed attack there.
A lot of crazy things, and
So this game is it's definitely coming to
Space.
life now. It took a while, but a nuke in the clip for Deathly. He can shoot that.
unless he gets targeted, no, there's no chance.
There was a chance. Looks like the Percies are just gonna keep running. I don't think they'll be able to do much.
Tech 3 already almost finished.
Yeah, like I said, the trolling is underway. Another GC ready for Deathly. He might be a little bit reluctant to send it in by itself, though.
This is where build capacity. If Duras had the build capacity, I think he'd be in pretty good shape.
Yeah,
He
I
just
mean, he
doesn't
has
have it.
this donut. He has a few GCs, a few fatties. There's way too much mass.
I think this is where getting the drones with UEF is so nice. get out of the situations very quickly.
So yeah, I mean, Duras has the tools to get back in the game. He just needs, well, yeah, he doesn't. He needs more engineers. He needs them everywhere. He actually needs factories just producing engineers so he can use all his mass that he's gotten. And he needs more power. Definitely needs more power. Huge numbers of missile launchers going up for Duras here in his left expansion. This could be a snipe attempt. And the nuke goes off. If it's at the main base, it won't be successful. Yeah, it is going straight at the main base. And there is an anti-nuke already. So no success there.
See if this mass cruise missiles.
Yeah, I'm actually intrigued now. It's definitely within range of Deathly. And the thing here is, even if he doesn't kill Deathly directly, if he has some strap bombers standing by and he depletes all the shields, then he could snipe Deathly down. And we finally see Tech 1 power being recycled by Deathly. He might have just forgotten about it. And
upgrading all of his Tech 2 factories
just like
to
you
Tech
were
3.
asking. And somehow Deathly still managing to power stall. He's got 57k power and he's managing to use it all. And it's just the insane macro.
Achievement. That could be bad because then he won't be able to see on his radar that there's a line of cruise missiles.
Yeah, and if his shields are down when the cruise missiles hit, the thing is, there are some TMDs scattered around, and we know that Aeon TMD can just pluck all those missiles out of the air at once.
Adding from Duras, but Duras does have Omni, so he knows exactly where Deathly's ACU
and
is.
T3RD is about to be finished. I don't think he'll have the power to actually shoot it though, which will be kind of sad.
A lot of strat bombers being produced.
Actually, the T3RD would be an excellent target for the cruise missiles, although the bigger problem is obviously 2 GCs coming in on the left. And there go all the... Yeah,
oh, here come the missiles. I want to see the single TMD.
Yeah, definitely not too happy about something. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. That TMD
yeah,
is
it just
so
sucked
good.
all those up.
But will it do it again? Oh, Deathly runs
and
away.
It wouldn't have made a difference. But now...
So I think we see the answer. What is the best TMD in the game? It's definitely the Aeon TMD. We can counter so many at the same time.
Now, this T3RD would definitely be the best target for future cruise missiles. But I don't think the T3RD will do much. It might just be a formality right now.
Yeah, it's just there for looks. Here come the strats.
Definitely might have had enough by now. And I think, yeah.
I think the possibility of getting sniped.
And this is game over.
Make it end the game.
He got worried there.
Almost an epic. Yeah, definitely saying he's too tired. Well, I think it was a decent game. There was some slow parts, but
the middle was pretty
good.
slow, but the beginning and end were very nice. Saw some good T1 and T3 fighting. So, yeah, it was a good game. And I'm done.